Have you ever wondered what secrets lie buried beneath the sands of Libya? We often hear about the great battles of World War II in Europe, but a brutal, pivotal, and often overlooked conflict raged across the sun-scorched deserts of North Africa. This is the story of the Desert Campaign in Libya, a 3-year struggle from 1940 to 1943. That shaped the course of the war and left an indelible mark on the land and its people. When Italy declared war in June 1940, its large army in Libya posed a direct threat to British-controlled Egypt and the vital Suez Canal. The initial Italian invasion of Egypt was met with a stunning British counteroffensive, Operation Compass. Using a much smaller but more mobile force, the British pushed the Italians not just out of Egypt, but deep into Libya, capturing over 100,000 prisoners and the key port of Tobruk. It was a spectacular victory that shocked the Axis powers. But the pendulum of war was about to swing back. Alarmed by the Italian collapse, Hitler dispatched a new force to Africa, the WWII Corps. Led by one of history's most famous commanders, General Erwin Rommel. Known as the Desert Fox, Rommel was a master of surprise and maneuver. He quickly launched a counterattack, catching the overstretched British forces off guard. What followed was a dramatic, seesaw conflict across the desert. The battle lines surged back and forth over hundreds of miles of barren, unforgiving terrain. Control of key coastal towns like Tobruk became an obsession. The port was besieged by Rommel's forces for 241 days, with its Australian and British defenders, famously dubbed the Rats of Tobruk, holding out against all odds in a symbol of Allied defiance. The constant fighting created a unique form of warfare, one dominated by tanks, mobility, and the relentless challenges of the environment. Life for the soldiers was a daily battle for survival. They faced extreme heat during the day and freezing cold at night. Water was strictly rationed, and the constant dust clogged machinery, weapons, and lungs. Swarms of flies were a torment. And the vast, featureless landscape could be psychologically crushing. Yet, amidst this hardship, a strange code of chivalry sometimes emerged between the warring sides. Stories abound of soldiers from opposing armies sharing water or cigarettes with captured enemies, a shared respect born from a common struggle against the brutal desert itself. The fighting was not just between Rommel's Afrika Korps and the British 8th Army. The forces were a mosaic of nationalities. The Allies included troops from Britain, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, India, and Free France, all fighting under a unified command. The Axis forces were composed of Germans and a larger contingent of Italians. For the Libyan people, the war was a catastrophe. Caught between colonial powers and invading armies, their lives were upended. Villages were destroyed, and many civilians were displaced, suffering immense hardship in a conflict not of their own making. The turning point in the Desert Campaign came in 1942. Rommel, after a series of brilliant victories that brought him to the gates of Egypt, was finally halted at the First Battle of El Alamein. His supply lines were stretched to the breaking point, while the British, under their new commander Bernard Montgomery, were being heavily reinforced. Montgomery, meticulous and cautious, built up an overwhelming superiority in men and material before launching his own major offensive in October 1942. The Second Battle of El Alamein was a brutal, 12-day slugging match. Montgomery's methodical approach ground down the Afrika Korps, which was critically short on fuel and supplies. Rommel was forced into a long retreat, pursued relentlessly by the 8th Army. This victory was a massive morale boost for the Allies. As Winston Churchill famously said, "Before Alamein we never had a victory. After Alamein we never had a defeat." The end for the Axis in Africa was now a matter of time. Just days after the victory at El Alamein, a massive Anglo-American force landed in Morocco and Algeria in Operation Torch. The Axis forces in Libya were now caught in a giant pincer movement. Squeezed between Montgomery's army advancing from the east and the new Allied forces pushing from the west. Rommel conducted a masterful fighting withdrawal across Libya, delaying the inevitable and saving what was left of his army. But the strategic situation was hopeless. By May 1943, the last Axis forces in North Africa had surrendered in Tunisia. The long, bloody campaign was over. The Allies had secured the Mediterranean, protected the Suez Canal, and created a springboard for the invasion of Italy. The legacy of the war in Libya is complex. The desert is still littered with the rusting hulks of tanks, remnants of a conflict that raged 80 years ago. The landscape is also scarred by millions of landmines, which continue to claim lives to this day. For the soldiers who fought there, the desert was a place of extreme hardship and camaraderie, of terror and surprising humanity. For the Libyan people, it was an era of suffering and disruption under the boots of foreign armies. The Desert Campaign was more than just a series of battles, it was a testament to human endurance, ingenuity, and folly. It created legends like Rommel and Montgomery and forged the identity of the armies that fought there. It was a war of machines in a vast wilderness, a struggle where supply lines were as important as battle plans, and where victory and defeat could hang on a single barrel of fuel. The echoes of those battles still whisper on the desert winds, a silent reminder of the price of war. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into history interesting, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories from the past. Let us know in the comments what other historical events you'd like us to explore. See you next time.